Welcome back to America TV. I'm Fifi. I want to welcome all of our audience and member joining us online. I hope that you are doing well and, of course, staying safe. And for those of you who never know what America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center here in Jakarta, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. We have temporarily moved to a solid digital platform, but don't worry, you can still enjoy us from the comfort of your own home. And for you guys who are joining with us right now via Zoom, you can leave your question at the chat box section or just simply say hi to our speakers and other participants. But please don't forget to use this feature wisely. And for those of you guys who are joining with us right now via America website, Twitter, Facebook, Periscope, and Instagram Live, you can simply leave your question and say hi to us at the comment box for each platform. And in this episode, we will discuss about AMA, Ask Me Anything with Fulbright Alumni. And before we begin, let's break the ice with a little game. So the question for tonight's event is, in what year the Fulbright program introduced into Indonesia? A, 1946, B, 1952, C, 1992, or D, 2006? I repeat one more time. In what year was the Fulbright program introduced into Indonesia? A, 1946, B, 1952, C, 1992, or D, 2006? You guys can answer the question by commenting at our live for each platform of our social media. And stay tuned until the end of the program. We will give live shout out at the end of the event to you guys with the correct answer. Other than that, don't forget to take a selfie and tag America's Instagram account during the event. And without further ado, let me pass it to our moderator for tonight, one of our America Education USA advisor, Kasantika Salim. Hi, Santika.
Hi, Fifi. Thank you so
Hello,
much.
how are you?
I'm great. How are you
Well,
doing?
yes. Are you ready to start the event?
Yeah, I'm ready.
The floor is yours.
Thanks. So, hi everybody. Welcome back to Education USA events. Now that we are going digital, if you realize that we are usually open every day in America in Pacific Place Mall in Jakarta. If you've never been, and when we're back, you are very welcome to join us there. But for now, we are going digital. So that means everything that we are doing in the center, offline and in person, has been transitioned into online. That means events that usually in America now is going online like this, and it's being streamed to other platforms like YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, and other social media that At America have, and we call it At America TV, which is awesome. So I want to let you know that if in the center we do one-on-one advising in person to meet you and everything, but now that we are going online, we are doing it via Zoom, and we are available every day except on when we are like doing this. Both Fina and me are here, so we are not able to do the one-on-one advising. But other than that, we are very, very happy to meet you in Zoom one-on-one and ask on your if you have any question or need any guidance to study in the United States. So yeah, a bit about that. And I want to let you know that this is our, not the first AMA, but this is the first special AMA that we did for the U.S. Fulbright alumni. So if you're new with all of this Fulbright thing and scholarship to United States, I want to let you know that Fulbright is specially destined going to the U.S. So Fulbright only support their awardees to United States and no other country than the United States. So today we will have two speakers. So both of them are Fulbright alumni, and they got their master degree from United States. They are. So I will call them later. They're Husky and they're Edward. So I will give this to Fina so that she can give you an introduction on what Education USA is about. All right, Fina.
All right. Hi, thank you so much, Santika. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining in. My name is Fina. I'm with Santika, one of the advisors for Education USA at America. But again, like what Fifi and Santika said, we are currently going virtual. But then again, we are so very excited because we are still be able to give you a lot of information about studying in the US. And I'm going to give you a very brief introduction, just in case this is your first time. And which, by the way, There are about 250 of you guys register for this event. It is mind blowing. For Zoom, right? So, but like there are a lot of you guys are actually watching us from different platforms. So we are also available on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We are also live on Instagram. Wherever you guys are watching this from, stay there. But if you want to join the crowd here, you are more than welcome to join here, to join us here in Zoom. We're going to have so much fun. And even though you are watching from different platform than Zoom, if you have any questions, you can leave it on the comment box, and we already have our Adamerica team will make sure Santika and I got that questions, and then we can answer that. All right, so I'm just gonna go real quick, share you guys short PowerPoint slide here about Education USA. So just in case it's your first time and you're wondering who we are part of the U.S. Department of State network. We have over 400 international student advising centers in more than 170 countries. So we are practically all over the world. And what we do as an advisor is we guide you guys who want to study higher education. So higher education means bachelor's, master's, or PhD, or S1, S2, S3. And all of our services are free of charge. I know it sounds too good to be true, but I'm telling you guys, it's so true. Let's see. In Indonesia, not only in Adamerica, but we actually have 8 centers with a total of 2 advisors. So we have 2 in Jakarta at the U.S. Embassy with David and Iqbal, and then at Adamerica, of course, with Santika and I. And then we actually also have 2 in Surabaya, one at the U.S. Consulate General Surabaya, which, fun fact, Husky, one of the Fulbright alumni, one of the panelists tonight, is actually the advisor for Education USA at the U.S. Consulate General Surabaya. So now you know, if you want to know more about like the Fulbright application and all that, one of our advisors, Husky, is a Fulbright alumni. Actually, Iqbal at the U.S. Embassy is also a Fulbright alumni. So we are so grateful to have them as part of the Education USA family. And then we also have one at the Unair in Surabaya with Ambar there. And then we have one in Medan with Jeffrey at the U.S. Consulate Medan. And then we have one in Malang with Zaki at Universitas Muhammadiyah. And then we have one in Makassar at Universitas Fajar with Chandani. And last but not least, we have at UIN Araniri in Aceh with Lilis. So if there's no Education USA where you live, don't worry. Basically, we are covering the whole country. So you can pick technically the nearest Education USA centers. But of course, if you want to contact Santika or myself, feel free to do that wherever you are. These are our services. I'm not going to explain each of this step because I'm pretty sure we are going to have a lot of discussion tonight. So just going to let you guys know that we are assisting you guys every step of the way. So from step 1, which is research your option, and then we move on to finance your studies, and then completing your application. You're going to submit everything, and then you're going to hear back from the university. And then once you get accepted, we're moving on to step 4, which is applying for your student visa. We're not going to apply the visa for you guys, but we're guiding you, giving you information, the step-by-step for applying the U.S. student visa. And then prepare for your departure. This is something that I really look forward to. Please stay tuned. We might have one this year, virtually, of course. So yeah, please stay tuned on that. Again, if you want to talk to either of us, either Santika or myself, this our email. We are basically do a one-on-one advising session via Zoom, and it's technically every day. We are start from 1 until 9 p.m. And our advising system is a first come, first serve basis. So you don't have to email us and then, telling us, hi, Fina, can I see you on Thursday at 7:30? You don't have to do that. You can basically just go into Zoom. We leave you the ID here, 276-124-396. And as long as the room is empty, meaning that I don't have any advising session going on, we can basically talk. But if there is an advising session going on, I'm going to leave you a chat in Zoom to let you know that, hey, I'm currently on a session, feel free to wait and stuff like that. All right. So again, we are here basically every day. Or if you're not sure if you want to talk to us directly via Zoom, or maybe you're still malu-malu and stuff like that, you can email us first, and maybe you want to kind of like, explain or share with us your study plan in the email before we move on to Zoom. And this is our email center, jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. And I just want to let you guys know what's up this month. We are pretty much all good for June. We are going to get very busy with events, which I really look forward to. So, for example, next week, I'm going to give a presentation about we're going to look at differences between CVs and resume and the importance of letters of recommendation. This is basically for you guys if you want to study master's or PhD. And then the following week, my favorite topic, of course, is the essay. And as you can see here, the timing, we're going to have about 2 hours because the presentation can get a bit longer, but I promise you I'm going to give you a lot of important information about how to write a good essay or statement of purpose. And then the day after that, we're going to have another AMA, just like what Santika said. This is not our first time, but we have a number of series of AMA. And so moving forward, the AMA series is not just you asking me or Santika, but we're going to invite alumni like what we have tonight, the Fulbright alumni, or maybe even a current student who is currently studying in the US, or another alumni, or even university reps who are willing to talk to us. So please stay tuned on that as well. And if you want to know our upcoming events for June, the registration is also up, the Zoom registration. And we actually already received a number of people register for some of the events this month. But if you want to know more, feel free to check our upcoming events at the Education USA website, educationusa.state.gov, or of course you can always go to Adamerica's website, adamerica.org.id/educationusa. I believe that's it. I am going to give it back to Santika. Please let's keep the questions coming, guys. And I'll give it back to you, Santika.
All right, thank you, Vina, for the Education USA introduction. I actually, on purpose mentioned Hesky instead of Yehezkiel because then when you're doing the introduction, we usually put the name on it. So I want to make him a surprise like this. So Hesky, one of our speakers tonight, is actually another Education USA advisor, but he's located in Surabaya. So I really thank both Edward and Hesky for their time. I know this is like online and everything, but we will doing our best for the interactions. And heads up if you are sending them private message because they will be here talking with me. I don't think they will be able to keep both together, like talking and chatting. So just send your question. If you're in Zoom, send your question to everyone. Make sure that you send it to everyone so we can see. And if you're in other platforms, you can send your question through comments so our team can pass it through us. All right, without further ado, I will introduce to all of you our special guest tonight. And wow, we passed 100 participants by now. I just, last time I saw it, like 2 minutes ago, it's 98. Now it's 108 or 06, sorry. All right, so Hesky and Edward, hello.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Halo semua.
Thank you for joining us tonight. So are you guys ready for the questions that I will ask you about Fulbright and your experience basically studying in the United States?
Sure.
Of course.
All right, here we go. I will start with the first question for both of you. So this is because we have kind of like a bit time constraint. I will ask both questions for all of you. But for the remaining questions, I think we will do alternating, but that's quite flexible. So we'll leave that however you guys like it, okay? First question for both Edward and Hesky. How did you find out about Fulbright? Because as you know, banyak banget scholarship kayak lainnya yang kalau bisa kita cari di website universitasnya atau LPDP, for example, is quite popular as well. So how did you guys find out about Fulbright and decide that, okay, I want to apply for Fulbright and maybe not other scholarship? Who wants to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay.
So
Campur-campur ya, setengah bahasa Inggris, setengah bahasa Indonesia.
We're going to mix this because, make it more comfortable for everyone.
So the first time I heard about Fulbright, it was back when I was studying in medical school. That's around like 6 or 7 years ago. One of my senior went to the United States using Fulbright for a semester. It's a U-grad program. So that's the first experience for me to know about Fulbright. But I researched Fulbright later on after I finished my medical school, and I was thinking to start searching for a scholarship. That's when I start to research Fulbright much more intimately, I guess. That's for me.
So yeah, I realized Edward is class of, you just graduated from your master degree, right? So
yes.
Years ago, am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so you are class of 2020, but you start in 2018. But I realized Hesky is in the poster. It's mentioned that you are class of 2016. So yeah, how did you actually find about Fulbright in the first place, Hesky?
Thanks for the question, Santika. It's quite interesting and maybe quite a coincidence because I'm now living and working in Surabaya, but I was originally from Manado, North Sulawesi. So I recalled at the year of 2012, Education USA actually did an Education USA fair at my city and at my university. So it was like 2012, and then I met with one of the Education USA advisor, a senior advisor. Her name is Ibu Rata Wijaya. And she was actually the one, of course, we've heard about Fulbright before, but didn't really know for sure. But during the Education USA fair, I know I guess everything about Fulbright at that time because Aminef opened a booth and then they explained about Fulbright scholarship.
All right, thank you. So I can see the pattern here, especially for Hesky. So you know the Fulbright from Education USA Advisor, and then here you are in Education USA again. So yeah, that's really great. So I will move on to the next question. What major or program each of you take or took in the United States? And apakah kalian dari dulu udah tahu mau ngambilnya major ini atau kayak you guys spent some time to explore what kind of major or program that you want to do in the United States? Okay, I think we'll start with Edward first.
Okay. So my major in my master program is Master of Public Health. Initially, when I applied for my master program in the US, there's a couple other options beside Master of Public Health. I was also choosing Master of Health Administration, but in general, it's Master of Public Health, Master of Health Administration. So those are the two major that I was trying to apply to. Yep.
Okay, so that's Master in Public Health for you, and you went to Johns Hopkins University.
Yes.
So for Hesky, I think you took something that's a bit not aligning with what we are doing right now, which is education. So what did you study back then?
Okay, so for my master's, I actually studied linearly the same as my bachelor's, which is civil engineering, but then I took a focus in structural and earthquake engineering. So that's what I took at the State University of New York at Buffalo, or UB.
Okay, so the field, the degree itself, it's Master in Engineering, Civil Engineering.
Officially, it's Master of Science, so MS, in Structural Engineering, to be exact. Oh, wow. Yeah, but it's within the civil engineering. Yeah.
Cool. So I will actually ask more about that, but later on, because that's very interesting. So the next question that I'm really curious is, what is the most challenging part in your Fulbright application or the journey itself? Jadi kan pasti banyak orang yang tahu kalau dapetin Fulbright ini bukan sesuatu yang gampang, kayak kita apply and then okay, you're in and you got the grant and everything. So it's not that easy, and it actually have a lot more struggle behind your success. So I want to dig a little bit deeper on that supaya orang-orang bisa lebih termotivasi. Okay, start from Edward again.
I think the most challenging part of the whole Fulbright journey was the adaptation process when I arrived in the United States. So there was a bit of a culture shock when I arrived there. And my master program was only for a year. So the speed of the whole program was very quick. So it's very important for me to able to adapt to the speed of the program, to able to adapt, find like an apartment, the housing, and all of this stuff. So I can like comfortably settle down and just focus on my study. So that's the most challenging part. It's the first like 1 or 2 months when I arrived in the United States.
Okay, do you want to share what kind of culture shock you are experiencing?
From like small things, as in like they're using different kind of measurement, inch, feet, Celsius, Fahrenheit, to more like I guess like in terms of how you set up like a meeting with your friends, how would you interact with them, and those are like very different. For example, in the US, it's very common for like a group of friends to say, "Oh, let's meet up," but that didn't really happen, and that is quite different in Indonesia. Where usually when you say "let's meet up," you know it's gonna happen, but in US, that's just like their custom.
Okay. So yeah, I have a say about that. Actually, I find the American culture is more straightforward. So when they say, okay, let's meet, and they literally mean that. They don't do that because they feel bad or they're like deferring you to next time or whatever reason that we have here. So yeah, I find the culture is very more straightforward, and yeah, I can imagine that you have all different things to convert because you are in the medical public health field. So yeah, the temperature and the measurement is really going to be some time to get used to. So for Hesky, how about your journey in applying Fulbright, and paling susah tuh di bagian apa sih dulu apply Fulbright?
Okay, so pretty much the same with Edward. So definitely culture shock is common. Untuk semua student ya, terutama international student yang baru pertama kali kuliah abroad study. So let's start with the challenging part in application first. To me, it's crazy, it's dreadful. Maybe one of the reasons is because limited access, especially for Eastern Indonesia, because just to have the information itself first, itu juga sudah susah ya. Jadi satu informasinya susah. Terus limited access lainnya adalah mungkin kalau misalnya kita, for example, ada Education USA Center waktu itu di Manado, mungkin bisa langsung ketemu sama advisor-nya. And at that time, internet does exist, but it's not as ubiquitous as nowadays, right? Like smartphones, we don't really, well, yeah, maybe 1 or 2 people have that, but it's not as ubiquitous as nowadays. So the first part is limited access, yang mana sehingga untuk persiapan application-nya itu juga agak sulit di writing essay for me personally, because I'm coming from like a scientific background. Of course, like we write things, but it's not like maybe it's just the Indonesian education as a whole that we're not really used to write or publish papers, research and stuff like that, and just that 1 or 2 pages of writing essay, it's totally dreadful. So I seek help from U.S. alumni, Fulbright U.S. alumni, who happen to also be my senior at the same university, and then I seek their help to at least give me some guidelines to how to write a good essay. So I just want to shout out to Fina. I think that kind of event is really great to help students study abroad. And second, about the journey, pretty much the same, but I think it's more difficult within the preparation itself. If I may quote the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, he said, an axe to chop down a tree, he'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening his axe, right? That's all realistic. So I guess in terms of that, as long as you have good preparation, then it's okay. You'll be fine, right? But I totally agree that culture shock is there, and embrace it. Don't worry. I mean, everybody else is experiencing it too.
All right. That's a very insightful sharing that both of you gave to us. But one thing really quick that I want to add is about how, what we are doing right now. Everything is online, and I think it's thanks to technology. But I want all of you to try to make a good use of it, because Hesky back then, wish this could happen, and you can seek advising session one-on-one with advisor in Jakarta while you are not in the same island even. So for those of you who are watching and not in Jakarta, or not not be able to visit us in Adamerica later on, make use of this time and go online with us. Okay. All right, I will move to the next question. In your batch, when you apply for this Fulbright and you got the Fulbright in that year, how many people got selected as a Fulbright awardees as you? And I think they call it Fulbrighter. Dipanggilnya Fulbrighter ya?
Yeah.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Okay, do you want to share about that?
Waktu di tahunku, karena kan Fulbright membiayai buat S2, Master, dan membiayai buat S3 juga PhD. Kurang lebih PhD-nya ada sekitar 15-20-an, dan Masternya ada sekitar 30-an. So in total there's like 50 of us.
Right, so around 50 ya kalau di tahun kamu mau berangkat itu ya. How about Hesky?
There was more during time. Waktu itu tahun 2014 keberangkatan kami di pre-departure, kami semua around 90 to 100, jadi ada hampir 100 grantee, Fulbright grantee. Pembagiannya kira-kira hampir sama, paling banyak itu Master's, PhD, kemudian ada juga program lain seperti FLTA, Fulbright Foreign Language Teaching Assistantship, and other than that. But in my particular case, karena waktu itu dulu master program itu dibagi dua, jadi ada master MA sama MS. And in MS program dulu namanya Fulbright MS First. It stands for I believe Fulbright Initiative for Research in Science and Technology, something like that. But there was only 16 people of us all across Indonesia, so that was during my time.
Right. So I can quite see the difference between I think 4 years apart. The number of the awardees actually being reduced, but that means that only makes you feel more fire up, and you should be feeling more competitive than ever. If you happen to get Fulbright, where it's more competitive these days, then it shows who you are. You are more capable actually. So next question, menurut kamu Fulbright itu mencari awardee atau applicants yang kayak gimana sih? Sama if I can give you an example, so let's say if an applicant wants to study MBA, will it reduce their chance to get accepted compared to other majors that have more impact in the community? Because as we know, MBA is usually connected with business and profit instead of like other majors that is being supported. So do you have any opinion, or what have you been experiencing on that? Okay, Edward again, and then Hesky.
So personally, I don't know, because I'm coming from MPH, not MBA background, so I couldn't like speak that personally. Tapi aku pernah dengar, karena aku pernah ikut event Amerika sebelumnya juga, ada juga yang memang dapat Fulbright dan dia mengambil MBA waktu dia S2 atau S2 di US itu. Kalau nggak salah waktu itu ceritanya adalah dia bisa ngambil S2 MBA karena memang dia Untuk S2-nya itu dia social entrepreneurship, which therefore still have a public benefit to it. And that's the case, same thing too with me. I think when I craft my like letter of recommendation and personal statement, I really think about what kind of benefit I can bring when I came back home from the US. And that's something I think the interviewer is really looking forward to.
All right, Fina has something to say about this.
Yeah, I believe the person that Edward meant was Ayu Kartika Dewi. I don't know if you guys know. If you want to Google her, she's an amazing person. She's been active on some of Ed America's events, some of Education West events. We did invite her a couple of times in the past. So Ayu Kartika Dewi, she was a Fulbright awardee, studying MBA at Duke University. But exactly what Edward said, and this is something that I actually know from Heskey. So I remember, I don't know, Heskey, if you remember, but I asked you, like, what is it that Fulbright is looking for in the essay? And then you're saying, something about giving back, something about like community work or something that people directly get helped on. And this is actually one of the questions that one of the attendees also asked here via Zoom, asking about, hey, if I want to study MBA, is it possible? So Ayu is actually the only Fulbright awardee that I know that got into MBA, and the rest of the advisors who have been to Ed America and they're applying for Fulbright with MBA program, the majority of them did not get accepted. We don't know what's going on there, but it's just that when we talk about MBA, and this is something that I don't only ask for an MBA applicant, but almost everybody, right? When they're coming to Ed America or when we're doing an advising session for the first time, the first question that I ask is, what do you want to use this major for? What do you want to use this master's degree for, right? And when it comes to MBA, almost everyone is pretty much saying the same thing, which is, oh, I want to work in a, like big companies. I want to level up my career. There is no community sense in there. There is no public sector, like something that you want to give back in a way. And it's something that when I heard Mbak Ayu shared with us what she did with her MBA program is exactly like when she went back to Indonesia, she directly worked with people, with the citizens, so that's something that you guys want to study MBA want to start think about. Yep.
Right. So thank you, Fina, for adding that. And it's especially going to be interesting to hear from Heskey, because obviously when you write your Fulbright essay and the interview, you want to learn about science field. And here we go. Here we are that you are currently with Education USA. So what do you have to say with that?
Oh, that's a very good question. So to reiterate what Fina and Edward just mentioned, is that I believe the keyword here in Fulbright essay is contribution. Like, what's your contribution to the society? What's your contribution to your community once you graduated and then you return to Indonesia from the United States, right? So this is actually a really good question, and I might be able to share just a glimpse, a little bit of what happened during the interview. Jadi ketika mereka panel-panel, jadi waktu itu Fulbright interview itu kan ada 3 panel. So panel itu comprise biasanya satu perwakilan dari Aminef, kemudian satu lagi itu biasanya alumni, mungkin profesor, dia PhD dari Indonesia yang sudah pulang ke Indonesia, dan ini adalah Fulbrighter tapi dari Amerika Serikat. So Fulbrighter dari Amerika Serikat seperti misalnya FLTA atau visiting scholar, research scholar, dan lain-lain. Nah, waktu itu mereka bertanya hal yang sama, dan saya menjawab juga dengan jawaban yang sama. So I'll just share the same answer that I said. So I was really inspired by Samratulangi, the hero from Manado, North Sulawesi. There's this one saying at Manado that's really famous. It's Sito Timo Tumoto. Or a rough translation for that is human lives to educate others. And I believe that really resonates for me, because if I can say one thing that has remained constant is that I am an educator first, and then an engineer second. So throughout my bachelor's or undergraduate study, in addition to, of course, learning, civil engineering, structural engineering, and so on and so forth, I also love to educate. So I was being an assistant. So lecture assistant, I was becoming a private courses for math Olympiad preparation and so on and so forth. So when I came back to Indonesia, one of the things that I learned from Fulbright is that there's a gap between technology that is being researched in universities, that is being researched in the laboratorium, and then translated to the society, right? And it's not really that easy to connect them right away. So I think in my case, my role was actually that to build that bridge between like in the government side and of course from the engineering background. And I was very lucky when I came back to Indonesia. There was this alumni gathering because of I believe there was a visit from the DCM or Deputy Chief Mission from Indonesia. At that time, it was Mr. Brian McFeeters. So we had this alumni gathering at Manado, alumni lunch. And then in the gathering, I met with him. I met with CG at that time, Ibu Heather Fariaba, who is now the DCM regarded. So things are in circles. And at that time, we had this discussion about like what do you want to do in the future and all that. And then at the end of the meeting, they said, why don't you join us? Why don't you join the State Department and try to achieve those goals at the same time, still being an educator, but still also utilize your engineering background. So I said yes to that, and now I'm here.
Wow. Okay, that's one grand journey. So thank you for sharing that. I find that very inspiring for my part, because I'm quite new here, and compared to Fina and you, of course, I will have to learn a lot from both of you. And when you mentioned that the panelists, there are three panelists, panelists for the interview, and one of them being the American who got Fulbright, but located here in Indonesia. Am I right, Eski?
Yes, correct.
So one of them
is it always like that, Husky? Just curious, in terms of like the people who do the interview. Is it always like that?
I would actually like to ask Edward the same question because that's what I know during my time and maybe a year after, but I'm not really sure about the rest of the year.
Yeah, how about that, Edward? How's your
Waktu
interview?
aku interview, aku agak lupa inget nih. Tapi seingatku panelisnya ada 4 dan komposisinya agak mirip sih. Jadi memang ada dosen. Waktu itu aku interview di Yogyakarta. Jadi ada dosen UGM yang kalau nggak salah alumni Fulbright juga. Terus there's a couple other panelists that I'm not really aware of their background, but I think like the composition are quite similar with what Hesky just said.
Okay, so I think it's safe to say that most of the time, or not always, that their panelists will consist of at least one PhD holder and one American who's a native speaker background, possibly the Fulbrighter American who got the Fulbright scholarship as well. All right, so moving on to the next question. I believe this one is the 7th question. We heard that once you got selected as a Fulbrighter, Fulbright will choose the universities for you, but we also heard the possibility of direct application. Can you share a little bit more about this process? And yeah, I think this is from Fina's, so I read that to you. Okay, how about we start from Hesky and then Edward this time?
Sure. That is absolutely correct. So Fulbright, by extension, the IIE, or International Institute of Education, I believe that's what it's called. Sorry, Institute of International Education. I'm terrible with abbreviation, I guess. But they will help you finding, the keyword here is finding your best fit university. So Fulbright not only wants you to, of course, it's great if you can go to like this prestigious universities, right? Like Johns Hopkins, for example, and Edward can share more about that. But in my time and during my application to Fulbright, IIE and Aminef Fulbright at that time also suggests like university, best fit university for me. So based on that, I try to research more about this university, and it's actually quite interesting because they know my background is in engineering, but it's not more in practitioner, but more in research, more in like design kind of engineering, right? And I did earthquake engineering research for my bachelor's, which is why they basically recommend how about you take a look into this university, the University of New York at Buffalo, right? So I've totally haven't heard about this university before. Maybe people nowadays, they just know, hey, engineering, MIT, right? But at that time, when I tried to research about this university, I tried to research their faculty members, like the professors. I try to see like their facilities, the laboratory, and all that. It's actually a perfect fit for me for earthquake engineering. It has one of the best earthquake laboratorium in across the whole country. It has several top professors in the field, and there's actually one professor I still remember. He's also my professor, Professor Michel Bruno, an expert in steel. And there's another professor, sorry, I forgot his last name. There's another professor who is also the dean of that Whitaker. Yes, Andrew Whitaker, who's an expert in concrete. So I believe like learning from these professors actually the best fit university for me, and that is why I chose SUNY UB as my destination.
Okay, thank you, Hesky. So what about Edward?
Kalau aku prosesnya agak beda. Jadi seingatku waktu itu aku mengirimkan sekitar 5 nama universitas yang aku mau ke pihak Fulbright/IIE. Kemudian dari pihak Fulbright/IIE melihat 5 universitas ini dan mereka menyarankan misalkan, oh ini 3 universitas nggak apa-apa, tapi 2 universitasnya lebih baik diganti dengan universitas A dan B kayak gitu. Lalu list ini dikembalikan ke aku untuk dapat final approval-nya dari aku. Jadi I think it's a two-way communication between me and the Fulbright or the IIE to finally decide the university.
And so it's more like keputusan bersama gitu ya, karena dari kamunya juga udah komunikasikan hal tersebut gitu ya.
Yeah.
That's very interesting too. So I think they will do like a case by case. So it really depends on what kind of program that you apply to and what kind of university that you guys discuss about. So next question, I think I'll go for. We have a lot of questions in the chat box and from other social media platforms. So I think I'm going to speed it up a bit. And when you mentioned about being a Fulbrighter, a lot of people when you mentioned this connects with the previous question. Jadi kan kalau kita ngomongin, oh kalau kayak gitu, aku nggak bisa ke highly selective schools and those well-known schools yang suka dipanggil Ivy League. So Fulbright program have been around for a while and it's very prestigious. So it's to the point that people don't even bother asking what university you actually graduated from, as long as they know you are a Fulbrighter, right? And however, not a lot of people know about that. And especially when in Indonesia, like I mentioned, people focus too much on big university name, famous name, like Ivy League, MIT, and etc. Just like Hesky said, kalau mau ngambil science, wah pasti langsung kepikirannya maunya MIT. So I think it's very different with Fulbright, and there's a reason why you guys are called Fulbright scholars. So I think it's just far away. It's a lot more than just the university name. So do you have any say or tips if someone want to apply Fulbright tapi mikirnya kayak, oh kalau aku nggak bisa milih sekolah yang aku mau atau Ivy League, I don't want to apply for Fulbright. So do you have any comments on that? Edward or Hesky first? I think this is difficult because I see you guys are
Okay, I'll go first then. I'll go first. Just as a disclaimer, yang saya sampaikan tadi sebenarnya sama dengan Edward ya, bahwa saya juga memasukkan waktu itu saya tiga nama university. But because I didn't really know like the overall university, the vast amount of options, I just realized there's more than 4,000 accredited university, right? Especially untuk bidang STEM yang memang US itu adalah champion di bidang science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Jadi waktu itu memang tiga pilihan saya itu tiga pilihan yang bisa dikatakan Ivy League. Now that's one of the reason why kemudian IIE menyarankan coba kamu lihat riset di kampus-kampus lain yang mungkin tidak dalam tanda kutip quote-unquote top university, tapi best fit university untuk keinginan kamu. And I actually found that. And I'm a proud UB graduate, go Bulls, because we managed to beat MIT in an engineering bridge design engineering competition. So we're not that bad. Okay, and to answer that question, betul sekali. Tapi bukan berarti tidak bisa juga ke Ivy League dengan Fulbright scholarship. Jadi memang salah satu hambatannya itu adalah expense. Karena kan istilahnya funding dari Fulbright ini juga kan terbatas. Dan mereka juga ingin kalau bisa banyak orang bisa mendapatkan benefit yang sama. Nah, jadi misalnya kalau misalnya satu orang dibiayai untuk masuk ke Harvard, MIT, which is maybe the person is capable, tapi mungkin ini bisa untuk membiayai 20 orang yang juga bisa berkontribusi kembali ke masyarakat Indonesia, seperti itu kan. Tapi bukan berarti tidak bisa. So there's like a common ground where IIE, Fulbright, itu bisa membantu untuk menegosiasikan dengan kampus pilihannya, dengan Ivy League, yaitu mereka bisa membantu dengan let's find middle ground, and then there's some fees that can be covered, or there's some fees that can be waived by these Ivy League university. Jadi waktu di batch saya, mungkin bukan dari Indonesia, tapi dari negara lain, kalau tidak salah dari Thailand, itu ada satu Fulbright grantee, dia berhasil masuk ke Harvard, karena memang Harvard University bersedia untuk menangani atau basically cover the waive tuition or waive the tuition that she needs. Seperti itu.
All right, that's really cool. And I think when we talk about the budget, I think I covered this in the previous session about Fulbright. You can actually find the budget that they will give to the Fulbrighter on their website. The FAQ part usually have that. If I'm not mistaken, for now, the latest update is 35,000 for master, and for PhD, I think it's 40,000. So clearly, kalau JHU, so this Johns Hopkins University that Edward went to, Edward is one of the proof that with Fulbright, you can actually go to university that is highly selective and Ivy League and expensive. It's more than the budget. So I think it's called co-funding, the one that Hesky already mentioned about, the university waive, some fee for the student as well. So Edward, do you want to share your experience on that? Like what kind of, so if Fulbright cannot cover everything, do you receive like other scholarship from Johns Hopkins and everything like that?
Ya, jadi seperti yang tadi udah dibilang sama Hesky, sama Santika juga, karena tuitionnya Johns Hopkins lebih tinggi dibandingkan apa yang di cover Fulbright yang 35.000 itu. Jadi aku juga dapat tuition waiver atau dapat scholarship tambahan dari Johns Hopkins itu sendiri, kayak gitu, untuk nge-cover si tuitionnya. And that's not only me. Waktu di angkatan aku Fulbright juga ada yang masuk ke Harvard, MPH di Harvard juga. Dia pun juga dapat hal yang sama karena memang beasiswa Fulbrightnya terbatas. Jadi dari Harvard sendiri juga menambal istilahnya sisa tuition dari tuitionnya dia. So I don't think like Ivy League is impossible. It's not impossible. There's definitely an option for you to still pursue that if you want to.
Right, Fina, you want to add something?
Yeah, no, basically the question that Santika asked earlier, that came from me because I wanted this two Fulbright alumni to actually share it with us, but the reason is because, like here in Indonesia, or maybe not in Indonesia, pretty much like everywhere, when it comes to like studying in the US, right? Like all you think about is just like studying at those well-known university, like Ivy League, MIT, Stanford, UC schools and all that. But, and then to the point where I'm very like I'm so pissed in a way, because again, like Fulbright has been around, and it's a very prestigious scholarship program, guys. Again, like if you know about Fulbright, I don't like I like just by hearing you are a Fulbrighter, I don't even bother where you graduated from, because that's how powerful the label of Fulbright is. Unfortunately, that's not really the case here. People are just like, oh, I want to study in the U.S. What are scholarship available? Oh, okay, we got Fulbright. Okay, without really knowing what being a Fulbright scholar is about. So last year, I believe, we did an event where I'm bringing in Fulbright alumni, Fulbright current students, those from, I want to say, those universities that we've heard a lot. So Ayu Kartika Mbak Ayu was like one of them from Duke, and then there was one from Harvard as well. And Edward was actually in that event, connecting with us via Skype to kind of like, it's possible. It's actually really possible for you to go to these universities. But then we have someone like Heskey, right, at University of Buffalo, and then look at how proud Heskey is being the alumni there, and then the fact that the program is actually more than MIT and stuff like that. This is what I really like to share with a lot of us here in Indonesia, that when it comes to studying in the US, it's not always about the name of the university, but we really want to dig in to that specific program. And then, yeah, it's not so much about the name of the university. So yeah, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if you focus more on the brand itself rather than what you actually can get from the whole experience, then I think you will be missing a lot of things. And that's probably not your best fit, because the best fit is all about, it's kind of like what's meant for you. So you have to find that. Okay. We only have 30 minutes left, and we have so many questions. So I'm just gonna.
Santika, I think we can just go ahead, try to take some questions from the attendees.
Okay, so I will answer the first question from Junaelo3 from Instagram. I've heard that scholarship just serve for master student. Is that right? So I'm not sure which scholarship that you're referring, but since we are in the Fulbright section, I'm going to say Fulbright is supporting, unfortunately, only for master and PhD. For bachelor, I don't think they have any scholarship for now. And for bachelor, if you are applying for bachelor, you can try to find scholarship opportunities in the university website directly, because that has more chance for the bachelor students. LPDP also for master and PhD. So yeah, that answer, I hope that's answer your question. And next one, I will have to ask Heskey and Edward how to make strategies to get a Fulbright scholarship for people who are working. So if you are applying for master, most of the time you are, already graduated your bachelor, and then you are in the working field somehow, and you have to juggle with your application. Itu gimana? Itu pasti susah banget. So how do you overcome that? Edward first, because I see you are kind of ready to say something.
I think the key is preparation. Dan itu berarti kayak ngumpulin travel accommodation, buat personal statement itu dibuat jauh-jauh hari. Karena itu bukan semua ngumpulin semua dokumennya dan preparasinya, ikut tes GRE, ikut tes TOEFL or IELTS, itu memang butuh waktu. Dan menurutku persiapannya memang butuh like 6 months to even a year before you depart to the US. So it does take time. Dan karena waktu yang di persiapannya lama, itu yang membuat lebih bisa ngebalance antara working life and scholarship life, if I may say that.
Okay. So basically, you have to make your own schedule to dedicate that preparation itself, yeah. And it takes time, so don't do last minute vacation, because that will be very stressful. And I think I forgot to mention that this question is from our email, one of our applicants, Febri. Okay, so untuk Heskey, because you are also Education US advisor, what would you suggest after you have this experience applying Fulbright, juggling job and application, and then now you are advising people, how to prepare their application? What would you say about this?
Oh, that's actually been answered quite perfectly by Edward. So the key is, again, preparation. Dan untuk time management, aku rasa ya kita kurangin aja sih waktu-waktu free kita. Mungkin, browsing social media and maybe like watching your favorite Netflix show or K-drama. Maybe you can just, tune it down a little bit dan bisa bagi waktu ke situ. I think the idea here is that jadi gini, Fulbright Scholarship itu kebetulan aku memang salah satu yang beruntung ya, karena ketika sekali mendaftar memang langsung thank God langsung. Tapi ada beberapa teman lain juga yang mendaftar Fulbright itu sudah sampai berkali-kali, and they actually consider that too. Jadi ada yang sudah daftar sekali, 2 kali, 3 kali gitu kan, terus nanti daftar lagi masih bisa diterima application-nya. Nah, terus aku tanya ke teman-teman yang sudah mendaftar berapa kali, like, why do you still have this motivation, right? Kenapa masih mau daftar lagi gitu? Padahal sebelum-sebelumnya mungkin udah sempat ditolak. And they just say, I really want to go study in the US. So have that burning passion, and plus the preparation, you'll get it in the first try, right? Jadi, well, of course, I mean, you still have to do, because I believe ora et labora, right? So you prepare, you work, but you also pray for that. Jadi sekaligus berusaha untuk itu. Tapi have that passion and also have the preparation.
And while we are at it, if you need guidance, you can come to find Vina, me, or Hesky. Promosi
Of course.
And after that, we will move on to still in the preparation part. This one is from Wan Razak in Zoom. Any tips for GRE preparation, especially those related with the creepy vocabularies? Jadi emang GRE itu quite challenging, dan especially the verbal part buat Indonesian, and not only for international students, tapi local students juga. I think when they see the GRE, that will be very, very challenging. So how did you guys do that? Share it. Okay, Edward or Hesky first? Edward dulu, because he smiled.
Oke. Jadi waktu tahun aku ada beberapa Fulbrighter yang dikasih les secara gratis sama Fulbright untuk les GRE dan les TOEFL. So that itself is already helped a lot of people in my cohort. Buat beberapa orang yang nggak dapat les itu, aku nggak dapat les itu sih. Kalau aku belajar otodidak sendiri kayak gitu. Jadi I asked one of my senior who studied in the US how did she learn the GRE process, and I borrow some of her books. I don't really have any further tips. I just study on my own, I guess.
Okay. Intinya you have to, like Meski said, harus benar-benar punya that burning passion so that you don't give up. Because obviously not only going to with Fulbright is challenging, going to US with the US university application juga udah lebih ribet daripada other countries. So Vina always said your mentality is very important if you want to go to US to study the master or PhD or even bachelor. Okay, untuk Hesky, any tips for your GRE dulu?
Sure. Jadi GRE ini itu kan persyaratan dari kampusnya ya untuk masuk ke postgraduate program. Nah, tapi setiap kampus ini makanya kita sedikit bersinggungan dengan best fit university yang tadi. Jadi kampus-kampus ini itu mereka ada yang hanya istilahnya quote unquote formalitas saja GRE-nya. Jadi yang penting sudah ada nilai GRE, apapun nilainya, yang penting udah ambil, you can still get in. Number 2 is that it also depends with your major. Jadi kalau misalnya majornya, let's say in my case, lebih ke STEM. Berarti yang akan mereka lihat lebih banyak itu adalah GRE yang bagian matematiknya, atau GRE kuantitatif namanya. Sedangkan kalau teman-teman di social science, atau mungkin TESOL yang memang benar-benar belajar bahasa Inggris, itu mereka akan melihat lebih ke GRE verbalnya. Right. Knowing this, ketika saat itu, jadi strategi saya sebenarnya jelas sekali sih. I'm gonna focus more on GRE quantitative first, karena memang itu jurusan saya. Gitu. Begitupun sebaliknya, kalau teman-teman yang di bidang social science, di bidang humanities, and so on and so forth, mungkin bisa fokus ke GRE verbal. Gitu. Nah, GRE juga jangan menganggap dia itu belajarnya sendiri-sendiri antara TOEFL IBT, karena itu kan salah satu persyaratan juga ya untuk mendaftar atau get admitted in US University. Tapi bisa belajar in tandem. Karena GRE Analytical Writing itu sebenarnya bisa juga dipersiapkan bersamaan dengan TOEFL, IBT Writing Part atau IELTS Writing Part gitu. Jadi bisa belajar bareng. Nah, untuk tips, I think I just go Spartan at that time. Maksud saya go Spartan itu ya hafalin vocab yang susah. Dan I think Edward is smiling because he's doing the same thing. Because there's no, if you want to like climb the ladder to success, you actually have to grab hold onto it, right?
But I saw the book, like the preparation book for GRE, and the vocabulary is just out of kind of this world. So how do you guys memorize it? Like I always tell the advisee that you cannot memorize dictionary. So I don't know if you guys prove me wrong today, but you guys actually
that's a good one. That's a good one.
To memorize the vocabs? No?
So I usually use those like
flashcards.
Flashcard technique. You never really use those vocabulary in real life.
Okay. So how many words that you guys kind of memorize, if I may know, if you remember? Masih ingat berapa? No.
In my case, I just focus on the top 100. Because again, I didn't really focus on the GRE verbal, right? So I don't know. I just get maybe 150, maybe just a little bit more than that. But I really cap out on my quantitative one. So there's like this guide where you have to memorize like only 100 top words. Like for example, parsimonious. Like we don't even use parsimonious, right, in our daily life. But we use that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing, Edward and Hesky, for the GRE tips. I really find it kind of useful, even if I never took it before. So next question is from Irhamni in Zoom. It's not easy to get to JHU, and how did you prepare the admission application? And on top of that, it's not easy to prepare the background that you wrote on the statement of purpose or resume. Could you tell, the step-by-step or like the what you did back then? I think this is directed to Edward.
So for the letter of recommendation and for the personal statement first, I think it's important for you to know what's your goal. Something we touched on earlier. What do you want to contribute back, or what do you want to do with your master degree once you come back to Indonesia? And that should be the main idea when you craft your personal statement. Jadi menurutku baik personal statement, baik study objective harus ada benang merah dari kedua dokumen itu. Kayak gitu. Terus waktu kasusku juga aku yang penting banget adalah minta seorang yang lain untuk nge-proofreadin dokumen-dokumen yang akan nanti disubmit ke Fulbright maupun ke universitas. I think in my case, I asked again my senior to proofread it, but I think Adamerica is also offering those services. So I'm shouting out for you guys too.
All right. So Fina, are you ready to take on Fulbright essays after this? I'm sure a lot of people will kind of like email us and pop in our Zoom. Hey, can you read my essay? So technically, just real quick. Technically, we don't review a scholarship essays, but sometimes people really want us to take a look at their Fulbright essay, and I always tell them a disclaimer from the beginning that the way I read the Fulbright essay is similar to when I read the statement of purpose for the university, because I'm not sure what is exactly from the Fulbright committee, what is exactly that they're looking for from an applicant. So it might be different than the statement of purpose, but every time I said this to the advisor, they said, yeah, it's okay, just take a look at it. And so that's totally fine. Yeah, it's the same for me, because sometimes for scholarship, if we are not that familiar with the scholarship itself, sometimes it's tricky on what they're looking for. So we just proofread it for you, but there's no deeper specifics on that. All right.
But one thing for sure though, we do not read your LPDP essay. That's for sure. Fulbright is a yes because Fulbright is from the U.S. I'm again with the disclaimer that I'm reading it as if like this, some kind of like statement of purpose. But with LPDP, I have completely no idea what they're looking for in the applicant, so I don't feel comfortable in reading the essay.
Okay, so move on to next question. I think I will give this to Heskey. Is there any advice about studying PhD in the USA with Fulbright scholarship? So I know you guys had the master, but if you, especially for Heskey, have you like maybe heard about the PhD part and how do you do that? Any advice?
So I was really lucky because I have been working with several master's lecturers at Indonesia, especially at Eastern Indonesia, and try to help them to obtain a PhD scholarship to US. And luckily, there was one from ITS, Institut Teknologi 10 November Surabaya, where she managed to get accepted in Fulbright scholarship and will go study in the US soon, perhaps this year or next year. So the thing that I learned with her is that two things for PhD or PhD candidate or PhD students is that to prepare one, your research proposal. Jadi proposal riset kira-kira nanti apa yang akan dipelajari pada program doktoralnya. Dan yang kedua adalah try to research first the professor that you want to work with, the professor that you want to be your advisor, right? Your academic advisor, your PhD advisor per se, and then try to contact them through email and show that you've done your homework and you want to be their PhD student. I think that's the two best tips that I can give for PhD studying with Fulbright.
Thank you so much, Heskey, for that. And next question is for Edward. Hi, Ka Edward. Okay, sorry. This is from Irene Lucifera in Zoom. Hi, Ka Edward. I want to ask you, does Fulbright scholarship can allow me to take an internship after get master degree scholarship from the Fulbright? Because I want to take a registered dietitian, so I have to take an internship in hospital or medical center before take RD exam, but I'm going to go back to Indonesia again after get the RD. I realized you took TA or something similar, so it counts as you work after you graduate the master from Johns Hopkins, right?
I got a post-academic training, count as work, count as part of study, and that's okay because that is I submitted like an application to the IIE or to the Fulbright and they approve it. But for like other kind of like I guess health-related work, it really depends on whether or not that's part of the post-academic training. If it's not part of your post-academic training, they wouldn't allow it because then you need to switch the visa from student visa to like work visa.
Right. So for Irene, I will suggest you to look up on the FAQ in the Fulbright f.or.id section because they actually mentioned that they cannot support certain program that has to do with patient or clinical. And that's quite specific, so you have to find out on your behalf because it's quite unique on your program itself. So go ahead and find out first whether it's clinical, count as clinical or not, and whether or not you can take the RD or not. Okay, next question is also for Edward from Marcela Gunawan in Zoom. Hi Edward, I'm Sela. I'm curious, how did you came up with convincing personal essay, especially to Johns Hopkins Public Health and Fulbright Scholarship? I'm currently in dentistry school. However, I have no idea how to start or have a convincing experience. Though I know I'm interested in the MPH, MHA, and MPH or MBA. Do you have any tips? And what's your consideration to choose MPH instead of MHA? Okay,
that's a very loaded question. So it's something I also touched on briefly again. Jadi penting banget punya benang merah, dan benang merah itu harus, kalau menurutku sih harus sesuai dengan apa yang memang mau kamu kontribusikan setelah kamu balik lagi ke Indonesia, apa yang nanti akan kamu sampaikan ke interviewer waktu Fulbright dan apa. Karena kan dari Johns Hopkins sendiri nggak ada interview dari universitas ke aku. Yang ada interview adalah dari Fulbright ke aku sendiri kayak gitu. Jadi John Hopkins nerimanya adalah dokumen-dokumen letter of recommendation, personal statement, study objective kayak gitu. So it's important for you to be able to know what you really want and to write it down. I don't think there's a specific tips in terms of the letter of recommendation. You just need to make sure that your intention and your goal need to be as concise and as clear as possible. And then you need someone to proofread it so you can, so it makes sense. So some other people can read it and they can say like, this document makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So I always, like to repeat this whenever someone asks me kayak, mesti ngapain sih biar keterima dan kayak gini dan kayak gitu. Actually, there's no foolproof formula on that. And like Edward said, you have to, and Hesky also mentioned, you have to see what you want to do after you come back, like what kind of contribution you want to do, and kind of like see if this program is suitable for you or not. So Edward, balik lagi tadi pas kamu milih antara MPH sama MHA, itu kamu ngelihat apanya? Like the program list or?
Oh ya, jadi ada beberapa dari tadi kan aku ada bilang aku ngirim ke 5 nama ke Fulbright untuk disortir sama mereka kayak gitu. Jadi dari 5 nama universitas ini ya, juga sudah aku spesifikin, misalkan MPH di universitas ini, MHA di universitas ini, MPH dan MBA di universitas apa kayak gitu. Waktu skenario aku adalah aku justru mau ngambil MHA di John Hopkins. Dan hal ini udah dikomunikasikan dari Fulbright ke John Hopkins, dan John Hopkins ngirim email ke aku bahwa you're not a good fit for an MHA candidate, but you are a good fit for an MPH candidate. So it's John Hopkins actually who recommended me to sort of like switch my major from MHA to MPH. Yeah.
So. Wow, that's cool. So is that one of the perks of being a Fulbrighter, that you actually got that kind of guidance or tailor guidance from them, from the university? Okay, Vina, you have to add something?
Yeah, no, I actually have a quick question to Edward. Since you mentioned about you received a scholarship from Johns Hopkins, how did the communication go? Is it the Johns Hopkins talked directly to Fulbright and they said, hey, we have some funding and we're going to we're going to provide this for Edward, or do you talk directly to Johns Hopkins in terms of that other funding?
So the communication of like the tuition waiver happens between Hopkins and Fulbright. So Fulbright said you're not allowed to talk as from the student to the university because all the negotiation happened backdoor with them. So I never really like personally contact the Hopkins University itself. It's them and the Fulbright who reach a negotiation up until I get like an additional scholarship from them.
And one real quick to Hesky, is it how about University of Buffalo? Is it their tuition? It's covered what Fulbright is provided?
Yes, but at the same time, the campus also is really welcoming for Fulbrighters or Fulbright grantees, and they also provided me with some tuition waivers.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the next question from Kairi Rizkana in Zoom. Aku akan menghadapi interview Fulbright tahun ini. Aku mau ngambil Global Health di Johns Hopkins. Wow, yeah, congrats for getting to the interview.
Congratulations.
Yes, jadi dia mau ngambil Global Health di Johns Hopkins. Mohon tipsnya untuk menghadapi wawancara. So because this is a very good question, I will direct this to both of you. But because the major is for public health sama kayak Edward, mungkin Edward ada tips what kind of questions yang kira-kira ditanyain?
I don't think there's like a very specific question. Jadi menurutku yang penting sih kuasai benar-benar personal statement dan study objectivemu, karena itu pertanyaan-pertanyaannya bakalan seputar kedua dokumen itu. Jangan sampai ada jawaban-jawaban yang diutarakan yang nggak sinkron dengan apa yang udah ditulis di dokumen itu. I think that's the most important thing, and then just make sure you're being very clear on what you want again.
Okay, I think Edward mastered that very well. Jadi dia kayak, oh pertanyaannya ya, well, you know, I know how to answer them. But how about Hesky? Do you guys both of you remember kayak the hardest question that you got in Fulbright?
Sure. I was actually second to what Edward just said. Jadi untuk menjawab pertanyaannya, stick through to your study objective, personal statement, and also your CV. The CV that you submitted to Fulbright, because they want to know more about like your study objective and personal statement, of course, but they also want to know like what you did outside of academic life, right? Like your extracurricular activities and whatnot. They want to know you as overall a person. So bukan hanya dari segi akademik saja. Jadi think of them as using the holistic approach to know you. Mungkin untuk pertanyaan, jadi gini, kan tadi aku sempat sebutin bahwa panel itu comprised of beberapa orang dari latar belakang yang berbeda. So of course you can take I believe global health if I'm not mistaken at Johns Hopkins, right? Tapi jangan lupa juga bahwa ketika menjawab jangan terlalu technical juga, karena ada panel yang mungkin tidak mengerti dengan let's say terlalu technical di misalnya health saja gitu, atau you know using like medicine school terms per se, like technical terms. Jadi hati-hati jangan terlalu technical, atau ingat saja yang dikatakan Richard Feynman ya, if you can explain something in simple terms you actually don't understand it. Jadi usahakan menjelaskan sesuatu itu dengan bahasa yang general, karena panel-panel ini tidak semuanya expert di bidang tersebut gitu. Jadi jangan lupa di situ. And do we still have time to answer what's the most difficult question?
Yeah, boleh. Shortly and briefly on.
All right. Okay. So this is actually quite seemingly an honest question, like a simple question. Waktu itu saya ditanya, what's your favorite bridge? Because I was a civil engineer, right? So
okay.
Their question was not really something, you know, in study objective or personal statement. Yang paling saya ingat itu adalah, what's your favorite bridge? Nah, ini adalah kesempatan kalian sebenarnya untuk bisa menjawab ini, tapi sambil hubungkan lagi statement. Jadi waktu itu saya jawab, oh my favorite bridge itu Golden Gate Bridge, ya, kebetulan di US juga. Nah, kenapa? Kemudian saya jelaskan, oh because it's not only the longest, tallest suspension bridge, blah blah blah, since 1937. But also it has like this history of it being vulnerable to earthquake. Do you see where I'm getting to, right? And then kemudian saya masuk ke study objective saya gitu. Jadi usahakan pertanyaan-pertanyaan ini coba link kembali ke apa yang sudah kita tulis di study objective, personal statement, and CV.
Okay, thank you so much for the tips, and I completely agree. If you really understand your topic, what you want to do, you can simply explain it in the simplest form so everybody can understand that. Okay, Fina?
Yeah, just real quick, since we're talking about the interview, did they ask you about, you know, like what do you expect as a Fulbright scholar, or did they ask you anything about like just the Fulbright scholarship in general?
Not that I remember of.
Okay.
I'm not sure about Hesky.
Yeah.
I'm not sure either.
Okay.
Okay.
So it sounds like it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really depends on the panelist personality as well sometimes, right? True. All right. So we have question. This one is actually from email before we actually start this event. It's from Lastri Naibahu. Is it possible that we apply both Fulbright and LPDP at the same time? And how if we were accepted in both of them? It means we have to reject one of them. If that happened, and will there be any consequences? Have you guys heard of this before, or any, you know, say on this? Edward, Hesky?
No. Waktu itu aku cuma daftar Fulbright doang sih gitu. So I'm not sure what happened if like you get both scholarship and then you reject one of them because you need to accept the offer of another. I'm not sure.
Right. So how about Hesky, from your you know, as a Fulbrighter and also as an Education USA, what do you say about this?
Okay, so technically, Fulbright and LPDP, if you are a grantee of one, you can't be a grantee of the other or awardee of the other. Jadi tidak bisa kita menerima beasiswa dari dua sumber yang berbeda. Nah, sumbernya bisa kalau itu seumpama misalnya Fulbright. Kemudian yang tadi ya kita harus menanggung beberapa sisa dari funding tersebut atau admission cost. Itu nanti bisa mencari beasiswa tapi di Amerika Serikat dari kampusnya misalnya atau dari student association or whatnot itu bisa. Tapi setahu saya kalau Fulbright dan LPDP itu nggak bisa dua-duanya kita terima sekaligus. Walaupun kita sama-sama ke satu kampus di Amerika Serikat umpama, you can. But in terms of applying, of course, apply as much as you can. In my time, I applied to Australia, Japan. I was a scholarship hunter. I'm Germany, I guess, Europe, and all that. But actually, my expectation with US is the last because I'm like a child from a small town, but with big dreams. So I thought, hey, we'll just try the Fulbright one, the US one, because it's the most difficult one. I'm not really sure whether I get in, but actually, that's the one that I got in. So yeah.
Yeah,
Never stop dreaming.
Yeah, Fina actually joked about it the other day, like when we interview one of the LPDP awardee. When they say the interview goes, I think it goes okay, but they didn't get it. When they say it's so hard, I think I messed up the interview and everything, and turns out they get the scholarship. So it's quite funny and how that works, but well noted on that. So next one is actually from Abraham Giros in YouTube. I hope you are still watching us. So he asked, he's actually from Tomohon in Manado. Saya ingin bertanya mengenai asuransi kesehatan ketika mengambil studi di Amerika, apakah itu juga termasuk di dalam beasiswa? Terima kasih. So I'm guessing it's included, but let's clarify that. Edward and Hesky, is that included in the Fulbright scholarship award?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so yeah, I think it's included, but if you want to check on what are the things that are covered in the Fulbright scholarship, you can easily go to aminef.or.id and check on their FAQ because that's the most frequently asked question, I'm sure. So yeah, you can go there and ask, but yeah, Fina have something to
Yeah,
say?
just to add to that, oftentimes the universities will already put the insurance fee as part of like not part of the tuition fee, but it's like already there. So and yeah, if you're under a scholarship like LPDP, I'm pretty sure it's also covered.
Yeah, and it's called a full scholarship. I think one of the reason why it's called the full scholarship ya karena dia meng-cover semua itu. Jadi kayak kamu tinggal cek aja dia cover apa nggak cover apa. But what I can say for sure, I think I had question like kalau mau vacation di cover apa nggak? I don't think so, but yeah. So that are one of the rule of thumb. And next question is from Kartika in YouTube as well. Saya Kartika dari Tangerang ingin bertanya, berarti untuk mendaftar beasiswa Fulbright tidak memerlukan LOA. Terima kasih. So yeah, have you guys heard about with or without LOA? At this point, I would say no, you don't need an LOA. But have you guys heard about if people have LOA and apply for Fulbright? Edward?
I'm
I guess
not
I'll
sure
go
about
first
this
then.
one. I
Okay,
think
Heather.
yes.
Not sure. Okay. For Tina?
Yeah, I can cover that because we actually have a lot of advisees in that situation. So technically, again, you don't. But with Fulbright, how it works, you don't technically need to have an LOA because what we've been hearing tonight from Hesky and Edward is that like once you get accepted for Fulbright, and then they're going to talk to you guys, discussing a lot about like the universities and whatnot. However, we know that in the past, it's technically okay if you're applying for Fulbright with an LOA already, but there is no guarantee. And first of all, you definitely want to defer for that program because, again, if you're applying for this year, you can't use. So, for example, like if you applied last February, this past February, you can, and then you already have the LOA for fall 2020, you can't use that, even though Fulbright kind of like say okay for that choice of university because for February deadline 2020, it's for you to depart in 2021. So you need to defer the program. But then again, like there's no guarantee that, like the Fulbright will say yes in terms of like the funding situation, just in case you need extra funding apart from what Fulbright is given. So yeah. So technically, if you want to have an LOA, that's okay. But then again, there's no guarantee. But the general rule in terms of Fulbright, technically you apply for the Fulbright first, and then you get the university afterward. You apply for the university afterward.
All right. Thank you so much, Fina, for the clarification on that. I hope that really gives you the answer. We have very little time left, so I'm going to pick a question from here. So from from Sabila Hadinisa, what other scholarship that you guys try to enroll beside Fulbright? I think Edward answered this. He only applied for Fulbright. And Hesky, you mentioned you apply for other countries, but this, so that means it's other scholarship than Fulbright. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So that's what LPDP?
At that time, I didn't apply for LPDP. So other scholarships such as, well, we can't really say the names here, huh? But from other countries, like let's say the Fulbright counterpart of other countries.
Okay, answer. Thank you so much for that. And next one is from Lutfi in Zoom. Thank you for the great program. Is there a better major for the Fulbright scholarship or any major that is not accepted? This is tough. I think it's not because of the Fulbright thinks it's better, but it's more like the applicants who is sure to take what kind of program or major that one, if I'm not mistaken your question. And for the programs that they don't support, I think it will be something has to do with the clinical. So far, that's what I know. Kayak kalau kamu harus berkontak langsung dengan pasien atau kayak klinis gitu, itu yang nggak disupport aja sama si Fulbright. Again, for this, please refer to the aminef.or.id because that's whole details there. Okay, next question. I'm worried for funding at year 4 and after since Fulbright PhD only grants for 3 years. So this one is from Bella Dini. I hope she's still watching. So I think Fina can cover Fina or Hesky can cover this for the funding. Jadi kalau untuk PhD kan cuman dikasih 3 tahun. Jadi 4 tahun. Jadi di tahun terakhirnya mungkin kalau yang 5 tahun program PhD-nya fundingnya gimana?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty similar with LPDP. I don't think they, like we know that if you want to do a PhD class, it will take can go 5 to 7 years. With LPDP, I think they only covered like about 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, and then the rest. What I've been seeing is that for the remainder of the years, the university should be able to give you some grants. So that is definitely something that you want to talk to the university about.
Right. So make sure to check out.
If I may elaborate on that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah, boleh.
Sure. If I may elaborate on that, to be specific, it's truly the professor. So university, but through the professor. Technically, and this is quite a fun fact that not a lot of Indonesian students know, is that you can actually go to a PhD program in the United States, but without scholarship. So here's how it goes. If you are accepted by a professor and the professor wants you to be his or her student, a PhD student, then you can get a tuition waiver directly from the university. So you don't need to pay for tuition, but you also need to work under them as a research assistant or teaching assistant or graduate assistant or whatnot. So you can actually go start your PhD program in the United States without those scholarships. And this is one of the reasons why Fulbright itu tidak hanya memberikan 3 tahun pertama. So it's actually 3 years. The first 3 years, dan nanti tahun keempat itu nanti memang sudah di-cover oleh kampus dan profesor.
All right, thank you so much, Hesky, for adding that important and crucial information. So actually for PhD, Fina and me like to say you have actually more opportunities for the funding if you kind of reach out to the professor like Hesky mentioned. So you don't really have to, stress very much on the scholarship like Fulbright, LPDP, and all that sort. So yeah, that's that. And I think that's a wrap. I thank Edward and Hesky for your time and sharing very valuable experience here. And again, I think Fina will put in our Zoom meeting ID here in the chat box if you're in Zoom. But if not, I'm going to read it to you. Our Zoom ID, meeting ID is 276-124-396. We are available from 1 until 9 p.m. every day. And if you're shy, you want to email us first, go ahead to email it to jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. Okay, thank you everybody for joining us, and I'll see you in our next Education USA at America event. I'll give it back to Fifi. Thank you guys.
All right. Thank you, Santika. And thank you to all of our speakers and also Kavina for sharing the great session today and, of course, for answering all of the questions. So earlier in the event, we asked you guys, I have a question. In what year was the Fulbright program introduced into Indonesia? A, 1946, B, 1952, C, 1992, or D, 2006? And the correct answer is B, 1952. And congratulations to Ed Kurniawan from Instagram for answering correctly. Thank you to everyone who has participated. Don't forget to tune in next time and get a chance to get a shout out from us. Now you may be wondering, how can you develop an awesome idea for a place like this? Don't worry, you can send your event proposal to us by visiting our website at www.adamerica.or.id. Select create a program and go to collaborate with us. All proposals coming to us will be reviewed and your event might be featured here soon. You can also subscribe to our newsletter for all of our weekly events updates that will be sent straight to your inbox. All right, that wraps this episode. It has been fun, folks, but unfortunately, we have to say goodbye. Don't forget to follow our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at AT America for all of our event updates, fun content, and so much more. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for joining and see you next time on Ad America TV. Bye.